Hello and welcome to episode 55 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we will travel deep into our rabbit hole in search of an indium source and finally finish polybenzimidazole. Along the way, we will build the alloy blast smelter and the cutting factory. So today I'm finally going to get around to doing indium. Now indium seems quite difficult to get because for one indium dust, you need 72,000 indium concentrate. And for 72,000 indium concentrate, you need 9 purified sphalerite ore. The rest of the stuff is not hard to obtain, but the sphalerite is a bit of a problem, because sphalerite ore only spawns in sulfur veins, in relatively small amounts. I do have a little bit of sphalerite, but it's not much. So I think it might be wise to do one or both of two things. First of all, we can get 4 times the sphalerite ore, purified sphalerite ore, from crushed sphalerite if we get galvania. I don't have this, but in theory I could get this using Gary. And the other thing we could do is we could duplicate the indium using UU matter. I haven't touched UU matter at all, which I think honestly was a mistake. I should have started this a while ago. But for now, I'm going to see if I can get away with this much sphalerite. So to actually get the indium dust, like I said before, it's just a chem reactor recipe with indium concentrate and aluminium. And then you also get lead zinc solution, which can be electrolyzed into a bunch of different things. And the indium concentrate is galena, sphalerite, and sulfuric acid. So just a quick 2-step process, pretty straightforward. I'll set up a chem reactor, probably in ore processing actually, because this is a processing method for ore. But maybe you should go in the special ore processing. Yeah, I'm gonna put it here somewhere. Boom, done. Nothing too crazy here, just some export buses, some interfaces, and also an electrolyzer to process the lead zinc solution. I am voiding the water, because it's water. And now I can finally claim this quest reward. Okay, so now we have indium. It's a very small amount. I think I'm going to end up with less than a stack of indium. So I'm going to be very frugal with this. Now I can make the superconductor IV wires. There are actually 2 quests here that are relevant to IV superconductors. First up, we have niobium titanium. I've already cooked up a stack. Those are needed to make the IV superconductor wires, which is the next quest. Now, making the superconductor base dust needs an IV mixer. I don't think you can have multiple energy hatches on these GT++ machines. I just made an IV mixer, and for now, I'm just going to manually craft this as I need it, because I don't need it in such large quantities. But once I have an IV energy hatch, I'm going to make an IV mixer, multi-block, and then use it for my auto-crafting. So I can make 3 IV energy hatches, and I cannot make any more, because I'm completely out of indium already. I only had 23 indium, so it's not a lot to begin with, but this is something I'm going to have to solve. So I've decided to just duplicate the indium dust using UU matter and matter fabrication. I am going to make some recyclers, because I can use wood or saplings or netherrack, and I have a lot of that kind of garbage. I have 4,000 oak saplings, but it's more than that, because I have the drawer set to void overflow. So instead of that, I can send it to these matter fabricators, or recyclers, I should say. So I'll make these 4 recyclers. If I'm not able to keep up with the recyclers, then whatever, I don't really care. They're not absolutely necessary to make UU matter, so it's just a nice little bonus. Then I'm gonna make the amplifabricator. This makes UU amplifier. This lets you convert scrap into UU amplifier, and then that goes into mass fabricators. These work a little bit differently when it comes to overclocking and tiers. I haven't fully read this, so I'll explain it again once I have actually read this and I have the machines. But basically, these either convert UU amplifier into UU matter, or for a higher energy cost, it converts nothing into UU matter. Or I guess it converts energy into UU matter. And then UU matter you can use to replicate a lot of different things. Gases, dusts, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of simple stuff. And one of the things is indium. It's very slow, as you can see. I mean, maybe it's faster if you overclock these, because the overclocking works differently, but at first glance, this is extremely expensive to make indium. But we need it, and according to the quest book, we're going to need it in pretty large quantities. So best to get started on that as soon as I can. So this UU matter thing is going to be a quick little detour from what we were doing before, which I don't even remember what it was, but I made IV energy hatches. But now I want to upgrade the whole process of making IV energy hatches. And then I can finish the polybenzimidazole. That's what it was. And I'm doing that to make the spacesuit upgrade. How did I end up here? Okay, so we have our mass fabrication done. I need to set it up, of course, but I've done some math. And with the MV mass fabricator, we're going to be making 1 indium dust every 6 hours. So that is not acceptable. And the way the overclocking works for the mass fabricator, by the way, is it's a clean 2-2 overclock. So the amperage of each machine for each tier varies. But what ends up happening is every time you tier up, it basically doubles your UU matter production rate for double the EU cost, or EU per tick cost, I should say. They do this to have a fixed EU to UUM ratio, which makes sense. So I'm currently crafting up the EV1 because that's 4 times faster than this, and that's still really bad. That's 1 indium dust every 1.5 hours. I mean, that's a little bit better, but it's still horrendous. So I'm gonna have to figure out some other way to augment this. I mean, I could just spam more fabricators, but that's a lot of energy. One thing to note is that math is without using the recyclers. With the recyclers, everything becomes 4 times faster again. So that ends up being 4 indium dust every 1.5 hours, which is still pretty bad. But it's okay. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep up with the UU amplifier production rate. So I did the math assuming I'm not going to be able to. I'm planning on putting in apples into the recycler because I make an infinite number of apples and I have pretty much no use for them. I don't want to use saplings because I don't want to end up in a situation where I've used all of the saplings to make UU amplifier and my farms break. That would be not ideal. I'm crafting up the last bits of components I need to make the EV mass fabricator, and once I have that, I will set everything up in the chem building. I have my EV mass fabricator, and I have my recyclers set up. This is... this gobbled up my apples. So let me explain what I have here first. I have a chest with apples being sent into it, and then I round robin those apples into 4 recyclers. Those get turned into scrap. The scrap gets sent into the amplifabricator. I'm also going to use these scrap boxes because I got them from a quest reward. That makes UU amplifier. The amplifier gets sent to the mass fabricator and converted into UU matter. And now this will very slowly generate UU matter. So I guess I'm just going to have to let this run for a while because to demonstrate how this is going to make indium, I need 293 UU matter. So that's going to take some time, especially once I run out of UU amplifier and I have to run it in energy only mode, I guess. It's going to take 4 times as long to produce UU matter. Very, very slow. In the meantime, I'll complete the quests that are relevant for replication, starting with data orbs, MV field generator, and finally the replicator itself. This is also going to need a scanned data orb, which means I need to go to the nether and mine up another vein of sulfur, because I definitely don't have enough sulfur already. I've just made a scanner, and I got some more indium. I went mining in the nether. Now all that's left is to put in a data orb, put in my indium dust, and wait 11,000 seconds. And that's at HV. So if you were doing this at LV, it's like 40,000 seconds. That's a long time. So what I'm gonna do now is live stream. I guess this video is gonna come out after the live stream. So I'm just gonna do some building. I'm going to expand the oil building. And if there's still time for more, I'm going to try and clean up or find a better design for the magic building. Either way, I will see you after the indium is done scanning. Check out the new oil refinery expansion. Pretty cool. I really like how these pipes look. Especially the smaller pipes, actually. They look, I mean, they're just half cylinders and quarter spheres. But yeah, I think this looks really cool in some kind of like I don't know, ventilation type of thing. I did leave this side of the building completely flat because probably in the future I'm going to expand this way. So I was like, there's no point decorating if I'm just gonna rip it down again in the future. During the live stream, we discovered the smoking block from the Twilight Forest. It was suggested in chat, and it's so cool. It's so cool. I like it so much. It makes it look so much better. There's a pretty decent amount of space in this expanded area. I'm gonna use it to make the different rocket fuels. Hopefully that's enough space. And then another thing we did was I actually tore down quite a bit of the magic building, the magic tower, because I really didn't like it. It just looked like shit. So I came up with this new design, new idea for a design, I guess, of a really tall tower with a beam of light coming in the middle, kind of like how it looked before. But now the shape of the building is kind of, I don't even know how to describe the shape, where it kind of smoothly goes from a slope here to a vertical incline. And then I'm just gonna kind of replicate this around the center. I don't know how I'm gonna do that in this curved section because the shape of this building is so strange. But I'm gonna do another live stream, and in that one I'm just going to deal with this magic building. Anyway, let's see how our indium is doing. Looks like the scan is done. I don't know when that finished, probably quite a while ago. And it also looks like we have a little bit of UU matter. Oh, painful. Anyway, I put the replicator here. It's not automated at all. Basically, the way this works is you put in your data orb. This one contains the indium scan. You get a cell of UU matter, put it in the replicator, and after a long time, 3,750 seconds at MV, I'm gonna get an indium. So you can trust me when I say that's going to happen. I'm not gonna wait 3,750 seconds just to show you. This is super slow. Now the oil expansion was kind of a side thing, because in this episode, I'm going to keep working on making IV energy hatches, or rather improving the way we make IV energy hatches. So I want to make the cutting factory, but to make this, I need to make miraging steel 300. And this, you would think, is made from a vacuum freezer with hot ingots. Actually, you get it from this fluid solidifier recipe. And the molten miraging steel 300 is made in an alloy blast smelter. We don't have one of these yet. This one explicitly says that it only accepts one energy hatch, but I think it's too soon to dedicate an IV one to it because those are quite expensive right now. So I'm just gonna make an EV alloy blast smelter. Here we go, new multi-block. It's been a while since I put a new multi-block in the blasting hall. Now the alloy blast smelter is actually quite a nice multi-block because there are a lot of recipes in here. I don't have any examples immediately ready, but very often it's quicker and cheaper in terms of EU to make something in an alloy blast smelter instead of in a mixer, for example. For example, tungsten to hot tungsten takes 500 seconds at EV in a blast furnace, but in an alloy blast smelter, it only takes 400 seconds. But for now, we're going to use this alloy blast smelter to craft some new stuff. Starting with miraging steel. Like I said before, this is made in an alloy blast smelter with a bunch of different dusts. So I just need to hook this up to Applied Energistics, and yeah, you've seen this before. This kind of just works like any other machine. Cutting factory set up. I've hooked it up to Applied Energistics. I used another P2P similar to what we did with the LCR so that we can do item plus fluid crafting. Though I guess I don't really need to do this. I could just have a fluid export bus with lubricant. I guess this way I can use different fluids. I don't know if I would ever need to, but it's possible. Now I'm going to queue up like 10 IV energy hatches. I should also probably start moving some of these cutting recipes into the multi-cutter because it's faster. Oh, right. I also need to upgrade the chem reactor. That's easy enough. Ooh, that was close. I almost made a potentially big mistake. You see what it is? I almost hooked up 2 IV energy hatches to a cable that can only handle 2 amps. Because these can request 2 amps each, it could, at some point, have tried to pull more than 2 amps, and that would have caused the cable to burn, and probably everything to explode, and me to shut down HamCorp. So, I'm gonna upgrade these cables. I have my IV energy hatches. I'm crafting up some more chemically inert casings right now, but we can finally finish the polybenzimidazole. I'm going to extend the LUV cable all the way to this side of the building, and then I'm gonna set up the remaining chemical reactors somewhere in this general area. Now 3 IV energy hatches are going to use up to 6 amps of IV, so that is something I need to keep in mind when I'm running the cables here. We have all the ingredients to make polybenzimidazole. All I have to do is turn on this reactor. Perfect. Now, if I remember correctly, I said for all of these different plastics and things like that, I was going to store these as ingots. I did that for polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, and PTFE. And to be consistent, I probably should do that for polybenzimidazole as well. I will do that off camera. I'm just going to put in a fluid solidifier here, but I should be able to complete the quest now, and then I'll deal with actually storing this correctly later. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will finish the thermal suit upgrade and begin working on upgrading our rocket fuel. The current plan is to reach dense hydrazine, the Tier 4 fuel, but we will see how far we can push it. HamCorp would like to remind all employees that Fat Phil's now offers a mandatory minus 50% discount on all meals. HamCorp will not take responsibility for any misunderstandings due to the way that was phrased. See you next time.